From filmmaking to digital marketing, our next guest has experience with both. Dean is going to share with us how he got into the film industry and then transitioned into digital marketing. Best of all, he might drop some little nuggets that will help you in the future. Yes, I am Nana Hinesley. I'm your think outside the box career strategist from Launch Strategically. You've heard enough from me. Let's welcome Dean Emerick. Yay, welcome,
and
Dean.
the crowd goes wild. Oh, the applause.
I know, it's killing me.
Please take your seats.
So please, Dean, share with us what you've been doing for the last however many years.
Well, first of all, Nana, I was born. And then after that, I started eating. I haven't finished eating yet. I keep eating on a daily basis. But I think you want to talk about the film industry, don't you?
Well, let's start with that. That sounds good.
So I spent a number of years working in the film industry, about 30. I still work in the film industry, actually. I'm working on a documentary right now. And I also do a lot of online projects. But I started out in the film industry in television commercials, actually. So we did television commercials for General Motors and Pfizer and a lot of Pepsi Cola, those sorts of things. A lot of large car commercials. And then I got into doing television series. So things like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, X-Files, Stargate. There's probably a lot of people who may have seen Stargate. It's a huge series with lots of spin-offs. And I also did feature films. So those included things like, what were the feature films I worked on? Snow Falling on Cedars, Get Carter, which was Sylvester Stallone and Mickey Rourke's big comeback in that movie, and many other titles, actually. So what would you like to know?
Okay, so like if somebody's watching this and they're thinking about a film career, you worked, if I understand correctly, mostly behind the scenes, is that right?
I work behind the camera, yes, ma'am.
Yes. So could you just share a little bit about what that involves, what a day is like, how you decided to do that, and so on?
Well, to quote James Cameron, for people who he's been asked so many times, I'm thinking about getting into the film industry. What do you think? And he says, don't. So really, filmmaking is a really specific process, and it is very process oriented. So it is very much about creating an idea, pulling an idea out of nowhere, creating it and putting it on paper, and then having someone interpret it and start to create it. So in all of that process, not only that, but the story needs to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. That's what every story has. If you don't have those three things, you're going nowhere. So what you really need to do is stick to a process, because if you're not sticking to the process, you're going to lose a lot of money. You're going to end up going off track and getting lost in ideas and branching out. And it's just like when I'm talking, I start branching out and branching out and branching out, and I can keep going for hours. So don't get me started. But you need a process to get you back on track. And that's what it's all about. And so that's what the crew does. I mean, really, it's about, if you want to break into the film industry, you really have to understand why people are hiring other people in the film industry.
And so when someone breaks into the film industry, do they specifically know, I want to do lighting, I want to do this, I want to do that? Or do they just get in there and then learn as they go?
Well, and that's the trick. I used to teach at the Vancouver Film School for a number of years. I was the head of one of the departments there. And I used to explain to people that you really don't understand what you're good at or what you want to do until you actually get inside the industry, because there's no way to know inside the industry until you're there. You can teach it in a classroom, you can tell people, but until you're there, then you're on a set and you realize, oh, that's my job right there. That's the one I want. And then you can go after it. That's the beauty of it. You can make lateral, you can make upward mobility moves, you can make lateral moves, you can do a lot of different things inside the industry. And if you have any technical background, then you can apply that. And once you understand how to break technical backgrounds apart, then you can really apply that to a lot of departments in the film industry.
So does someone have to go to film school first in order to get into it, or can they show up with a good attitude or eagerness to get involved and get hired?
Attitude, you know what? That is the key to getting hired in the film industry. There's a couple of things. So understanding how people hire or why people are hired in the film industry. So essentially, if you're going into being a director, there's a directors guild and you go that route. If you're going to be a technician, there's many large, or there's like one massively large union, IATSE. So that handles a lot of technical personnel. There are other unions as well. If you're going into television or whatnot, that you follow their guidelines. But the key to all of those is understanding how people hire. So essentially, what people do is they keep a list. Well, this is what I used to do, and everyone I know did this. So they keep a list, right? So you know that at some point in a production, you're going to need someone. And you're going to need someone at the last minute. You're going to need them fast, and you're going to need to not have to explain everything to them. They're just going to have to show up and do what has to be done without a whole lot of questions, right? So essentially, we kept lists of people that we had our top people. Here's the top 3 people. I know that 9 times out of 10, when I run into a problem and I need a solution, I'm going to call one of those 3 people. But then I have my bottom 3 people who are, if these top 3 people are not available, and that's quite often happens because we all have our top 3 list. And when somebody's really good, they're on everybody's top 3 list, which means that it's hard to get them, right? So it's just a matter of luck and timing, and if they're, in the right mood sometimes. So, well, I mean, if you're calling them and going, I need you on a night shoot now, and we're starting and it's like 50 miles away and they got to get there, they just finished, doing something else for a week or 2 and they're half burnt out and they're like, oh, I want to help you, but I don't, and it's like, there's a lot of variables in there. So anyhow, everyone has a list. And what you want to do is get on the top of everybody's list so that you're the first guy that they call.
So that's competitive. I mean, so it sounds to me like, number one, you got to get, is it within this group of people, right? And then you have to start proving yourself within the various things you work on, right?
Yes.
And so, okay, so within that, what is a day in the life of a film set? I mean, what's it like? I mean, everybody thinks it's so glamorous. There's all these famous people. I mean, what's it like? What's it like?
Yeah, that's exactly what it's like. We just sit around and eat donuts and drink cappuccinos in captain's chairs, director's chairs. Yeah, roll, cut, go.
Right?
Yeah, where's my frappuccino? Hey, has anyone seen my sushi chef? So essentially, no, life on a film set is pages. So in order to chew through a movie, a film, a movie of the week, anything, you have a script. And then every day you have to get X amount of pages of that script shot, depending on your budget. So every day you're given a call sheet and it tells everyone when to show up, when they got to be in hair and makeup, when they got to have special things set up, special effects. Goes through all the departments, tells you exactly when to be there. You know that the camera is going to go on an hour after the lighting crew starts setting up. And everyone arrives after the lighting crew starts setting up so that you can run everyone through hair and makeup and get everything tweaked. And then boom, you know that you're ready to block the first scene at this time. So typically on a set, you wake up, you go to set. Okay, here's an insider for you.
Yeah, insider tip.
Here's the thing. So back in the day, in the old Hollywood, the technicians were paid on a daily basis, and they would go to a window at the end of the day and they'd have a little ticket in their hand and they'd give them the ticket, and the lady behind the window would look at the ticket and go, oh, okay, you worked X amount of hours on this film or on this set. And then they'd pay them in cash right there at the window, and then they would go home and sit on their couch and watch TV. And that's not true. They all went and pretty much drank away every penny they made on the set that day. So the studio started to realize that these people are not showing up in the morning on time. So what they started to do was give a free breakfast. Oh, hey, there's free breakfast. So every one of these technicians would get the other technicians up and going to go get the free breakfast, and then they would be on set on time. And to this day, breakfast is on free on
Oh,
set.
seriously?
Yeah, that's one of the inside things they don't tell you, but it's an interesting little piece of Hollywood history. So you show up, you order your breakfast, it's all catered.
Wow.
Usually, I like to have the burrito, to be honest, and a good cup of coffee, but you can get anything you want. Like, there's a lot of variety there, depending on the size of the budget and show you're working on. Then you just start working on pages. So basically, it's block, light, rehearse, and shoot. So you block a scene, which means they pull the actors and all the technicians in, and the actors and the director walk through the scene right on the set, right in front of us. So the actors know, oh, okay, I'm coming in this side and I'm stopping here and I'm delivering my lines there. And then this actor's coming in from this way, stopping, and I'm replying to this person. We do our dialogue right here. And then when it's over, one of them leaves frame left and the other leaves frame right, and then end of scene. So that's blocking the scene. Okay, everybody's seen it. Everybody knows what it is. Perfect. Now we light it. So then we go and we light the scene. So the lighting crew gets an hour and they start lighting the whole scene. And in that time, all the other crew members do their thing. So the actors go back to hair and makeup. Essentially, the sound crew starts wiring actors if they have to and getting everything ready. The grips support the lighting crew. And then there's other technical people who are doing odds and sods all over the place. So there's a lot of activity for an hour for everyone to get ready to go. And the actor goes, or the director goes away and works with the actors if he has anything to address, right? But usually they go into hair and makeup, and then their wardrobe finals come into place, and then they can come back to set. So, and then after we come back from the lighting, we rehearse. So there's a lot of things happening at once. There's camera movements, there's focus pulling, there's people have to hit their marks, they have to remember their lines. The crew members, sometimes there'll be something that you need to tweak because it's casting a shadow somewhere, or there's a light bouncing off of something and you have to dull it down and those sorts of things. So once that is all done and we rehearse it a bunch of times, then essentially that's when we start shooting.
So essentially, this whole thing takes what, 12 hours, 15 hours a day? I mean, how long can you expect to be there?
A minimum of 12 hours. It's really 13 because basically you're there for 12 hours of work, and then you're there for 1 hour of eating.
I see. Okay. So essentially, anybody who wants to get into this better be patient, right?
Yeah, the people who work in the film industry on set are very driven. They're of a certain personality type, really. They don't necessarily fit into the corporate structure, but they have an attitude, and that's the other part you mentioned. Actually, it's really about attitude. That is what it is. It doesn't matter if you show up with, as a matter of fact, when people showed up with, well, I'm the best technician of this, or I'm an incredible sound guy, so I'm going to work with you and you're going to be lucky to have me, or they knew everything. That was the worst kind of, like, I would not hire those people, or you'd find that out in the first day. What I really wanted was people who could think in the moment and had the right get it done attitude. It's like, can you do it? It needs to be done now. And the answer is always yes, I can do it. But there's also, well, I can do 80% of it, but I might need a hand with the other 20. It's like, that's fine, because we can do it together, right? So the pressure comes under different circumstances, but you got to have that get it done attitude. And I don't know how many times I did things that I didn't have a clue if I could do them or not, but somebody said this needs to be done, and I'd be, okay, great, I'll do it.
That's cool.
I think I can figure it out, and I think I can figure it out before the camera starts rolling. So
somehow you left the glamour and glitz of 12 hours a day, right? Grinding away. And so tell us about when you decided it was time to do that and why you decided to hit digital marketing.
Right, the transition to digital marketing, which is what I do now, was actually Well, first of all, I became a father, and it's really hard to work 70 hours a week and be a dad, right? So I sort of saw at that point, I need an exit strategy. And that's a good thing to have when you're going into the film industry, because there are people who are lifers and they stay in, but the industry is very up and down, and it's feast and famine. And getting consistency, you're going to want that at some point in your life.
Mhm.
So go out and run with the wolves and have a great time, because it really is exciting. But in the end, you gotta plan how you're going to get out of the industry and where you're going to apply your skills. So at the time, I was looking for, I think I was trying to put together a website for somebody, and I was like, oh, you know what? I really need somebody to write some content for me. I need a really good writer. So I started asking around for a really good writer about content who knows about this subject and blah, blah, blah. And then I was like, oh, well, I need pictures to go with that. So I was like, okay, I started asking around, do you know anyone who can take pictures and like edit images and yada, yada, yada. And then I thought, well, I'm going to need video too, because video is like the most powerful tool on the internet. So I went through this process, and it took me actually a while of asking other people. And it turned out that I was the person who knew how to do all those things. So it was like I think somebody told me, and they're like, Dean, you do all those things. I was like, yeah, but I don't do the internet. I'm film. And it's like, oh, wait a minute. No, it's just a matter of transferring that skill set online, shrinking it down, figuring out what your audience wants, how they want it. Because in a theater, the audience wants a big screen experience that lasts for an hour and a half, basically. And it has a beginning, a middle, and end. Online, your audience, depending on where they are in the process of their buying cycle or whatever, they want much smaller pieces of information. So they want 3-minute videos that get to the heart of what you're talking about. So really, I just had to take my skill set and just shrink it down, add a few other skill sets on top, like, keyword research and user experience and nurturing leads and those kind of things. Um, and shrink down what I'm doing with video, but I knew all the technical stuff already. So it wasn't a huge bridge for me to do that. Because I'd worked in so many different departments and done so many things. It was like, okay, I just have to retool. So I
So
retooled.
essentially now in your business, do you offer all of that to your clients? Let's talk about your business today, and who are your clients and who should hire you, that kind of stuff.
Sure. So basically, if you're trying to get traffic online, you're trying to attract people. Basically, you need search engine optimization, which is basically giving search engines the information they want to connect you to people who are looking for your goods and services. And a lot of people make it complicated, but it's not that complicated, because really, if you look at Google, has 90% of the search. They want to, well, they became who they are by giving people the results that they wanted and making it easy, that you didn't have to click on 30 things. You didn't have to do 20 searches. You didn't have to open the phone book and find the yellow pages, whatever. But you could find your search in right at the top of the search right away. You found useful results, whether you went with number one choice or not, doesn't matter. You got useful results. And that's what made Google huge. So Google's still the same. They still want to give their users the best results. And the best way to do that is to connect them with something relevant, highly relevant. So basically, you want to make yourself relevant, but you want to talk Google's language. And Google's language is bots, right? So bots analyze your site, they look at the information, they figure out what you're telling them, and then they look in other places for the same information. So essentially, you just want to give them what they need and make it easy for them to connect you with people who are searching for your goods and services. And that's what I do. Content is a huge portion of that.
So in terms of videoing and images, and do you do all of that, or do you ask your clients to provide you with certain things? I mean, what all do you do?
Well, there's a variety of ways we approach that. So we mostly focus on local business.
I see.
Everything's local, actually, because when you do a search, the search engines, because of your browser, they know exactly where you're sitting within 30 feet, basically. If you're on your phone walking around, they know where you are. If you're in your house using your laptop, they know where you are. So they give you results based on your proximity. They know where you are, and they know that people will buy services and goods within 20 miles of where they live. So they know I'm not going to drive to the next city to get my hair cut, or I'm not going to drive to the next city to, get a landscaper, because then I got to pay that landscaper to come back here and yada, 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 right? So you want everything within a 20-mile zone. So every search you do is proximity based, which is local. So essentially, I work with local companies to help them improve their digital footprint and make it easier for Google to find them and connect them with the people who are looking for their goods and services. So when it
Do you
comes to
do this
content,
organically, or do you use
yes.
AdSense and stuff too?
Oh, all of them. We do all of them. It depends
Uh-huh.
on the business, and it depends on how competitive it is. Depends on budget. It depends on a lot of factors. But basically, we always start out with a really base package when we're working with people, so that we can bring them up to speed, because a lot of people don't understand technical processes, and search engine optimization is a very technical process. So we work with them for a bit on our basically bring them in. We work a little with them. We start to educate them. They start to understand. They're going, oh, and then yeah, exactly. They have aha moments all the way through. And they're like, oh, really? It's that simple? Or, oh, really? I could do that? It's like, yes, that's what you should be doing. So some organizations, AdWords. Like if you're a tow truck, then AdWords are great, because people search those kind of things because they have an immediate problem. You don't do tow truck service on Facebook, because nobody wants to connect to you. It's the same with plumbing, basically. You can do a bit of plumbing just to keep up your brand and all the rest of it on Facebook, but really when people need a plumber, it's an emergency, and they're gonna search on Google, and it's gonna be an AdWord. Whereas if you're doing something else, like if you're a dentist, physiotherapy, there's actually a huge number of local businesses that can take advantage of Facebook ads. And Facebook ads are the most targeted ads, and you can change things very quickly. Like you can move fast, you can get rid of, like you do A/B testing really quick, get rid of things that don't work and change things that do work and then improve them. Like you get a lot of data in there. So anyhow, they're pretty exciting.
So it sounds like you guys do it all. You do Facebook ads, you do AdWords, you do videography,
Yep.
the whole works, right? And you build websites?
No, that's one thing we don't do. Well, we do. We have a partner that does the building
Right.
of the websites, but that's a little different because we do everything that supports the website,
I see.
essentially.
And so tell us, for the people who don't know, what's the difference between digital marketing and social media?
So digital marketing includes search engine optimization, which is, basically organic search. It also it includes things like lead nurturing, landing pages, those kind of things. Social media marketing is strictly working on social media. I don't even think of Facebook ads as social media marketing, but it is. But typically, when people think of social media marketing, they have a profile on Facebook or Twitter or all of them, and they're reaching out to people and making friends and talking to clients and nurturing one-on-one. They're nurturing, those relationships on those platforms, whereas we do everything else around that.
And so for
digital
somebody who's
marketing.
thinking about maybe a digital marketing career, what are your thoughts on that? Who's good at digital marketing, or who would enjoy that?
Digital marketing is, again, it's technical, so you need to understand it, but it's also there's a philosophical side of it. So you need to understand, how search engines are working, and then you need to understand what they're looking for, And then you need to figure out how you're going to talk to them. And then technically you have to, you have to do all these different things. So really it's someone who likes to problem solve. If you like to problem solve and you like to basically, like I run into problem solving all day, every day. It's like, oh, what do they have? What do they need? What's their competitors doing? How are we going to outrun your competitor? Well, they're strong in this area, but they're weak in that area. Okay, how do we bump that up? Oh, well, we go over here and we do these things in this area. And then we come over here and we fix those things that are broken on the website. So it's kind of like, it's a lot like working in the film industry, actually. It's problem solving 101.
Yeah,
So,
it's a puzzle. I get it. Yeah.
well, not only that, but technically, like, things change all the time. So
Absolutely.
you have to be able to go out, and when something changes, and just say, oh, you can't just go, oh, I quit. You have to go, okay, some moron in a small room with no windows 1,000 miles from here created this thing, and he's only human, which means that I can figure it out. I can find the workaround, and I can make it fly.
Well, plus AI is playing such a big role now in everything that
Well, yeah,
makes it interesting too.
there's a lot of emerging stuff there that's unproven and unseen, and we're all kind of watching to see how that plays out.
Yeah, it's a
So,
little
and where
harder to
it leads.
outrun Google than in the old days, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. And it's funny you mention it, because I was just fiddling around with a new service I found this morning that uses AI. So it's really going to we're going to need to use it, test it, see how it works, and see if it's beneficial, right? To see if it really knows, because
Yeah.
we tend to defer to AI as, oh, it knows everything. And in reality, no, they don't know everything. They're missing the human element. And that's the other trick, is that maybe AI will get everything perfect. But if you use Google, that perfect sites don't get traction, because they're not human. They don't appeal to humans. They don't attract them. They don't keep them on the site. So you need to find a balance between those two things.
Absolutely. Well, cool.
Yeah, and that's a trick.
So let's see, we've covered lots of different areas. Is there anything else you want to impart on our group of people that are just clamoring at your words to hear what else you have to say before we say goodbye?
Clamoring, really?
Clamoring.
Where are those people? Do you have them under your desk?
Don't worry, they'll come.
If I click my ruby slippers together 3 times, I can be out of this.
Yeah.
So essentially, no, if people have questions, feel free to reach out. But I do, if you want to know more about digital marketing, or even film for that matter, I do have my Facebook group.
Oh.
Did I send you the link to that? Or
let's just share that with everybody so we have it. What's your Facebook group?
oh, I can't even remember. Oh, it's a link, because I haven't been in it. I haven't had it long enough for it to get its own title yet.
Okay.
So
All right.
it's just a number at this point.
And so your Facebook group is for, what are people going to get out of your Facebook group?
Well, if you're a small business owner, then we are talking about tips and tricks to outmaneuver your competitors and get more traffic from the search engines organically. And it helps you to understand the process. And then for people who want to learn, we are putting together a course right now about SEO for people if they want to learn how to do SEO and marketing and online marketing and all the elements of that. Then those pieces are all coming together.
Okay.
And then if they have film questions, I'm always more than happy to answer that.
Thank you so much. Well, you've just been great. I really, really appreciate you spending time with me today. So what I will do is I will put all your links in the description below.
Okay.
And then of course we have to tell people to please like and subscribe this video, right? Subscribe to this video series.
So you can
meet more really cool people like Dean, because the whole goal of this is to expose people to fascinating people with fascinating careers.
Absolutely fascinating, darling. Fascinating.
Okay, well, thank you so much, my friend. Take care of yourself, and we'll be in touch soon.
Thank you, Nana.
You're welcome. Bye.